I'll call to order the Town Council Committee of the Whole special meeting of Monday, April 18, 2022, to order at 6:01. All councilors are present with the exception of Councilor Westvote, who notified me he'd be running a little late. On to new business. On our schedule today, we have Human Services, the Human Services Assistance Fund, Public Works, Sewer Operating Fund, Solid Waste Fund, Fleet, contributions to other funds, as well as capital reserves, contributions, and capital reserve fund, if possible. First, Human Services can be found on page 131. I make a motion for $589,973.
Kasiri, second.
Moved by Melendez, seconded by Kasiri. And I believe we have Director Fondulis here.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Marge Fondulis, Director of Human Services. I apologize for not being there in person. We've had several cases of COVID in our department, and I'm not one of them yet, but I'm taking a cautious approach to things. So I will briefly, do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, the motion's on the floor.
Okay, the budget as I submitted it to the town manager is a level service budget. We had no new positions. We have one position that is currently not filled, largely because the situation continues that we're not getting the number of referrals that I feel are necessary to support two counselors at the present time. So we are holding that with the hopes that things are starting to pick up. The one counselor that we do have on board is definitely getting busier. He's had, in fact, recently there have been 4 juvenile review board referrals, as well as regular cases coming through. So as the schools get back into swing of things, then we expect to see referrals picking up more, and I certainly hope to be able to hire that additional counselor, but we are biding our time on that right now. The only increase that we've had in the budget has to do with the negotiated wages. And, I did take a little bit from the operating expenses, largely because we are, I reduced that by a small amount, by $1,000, because we are expecting to get a grant again from the state of Connecticut, DCF, for our youth services program, which is for general supplies and program support, and we can use that to help with the purchase of general supplies in the department. So I'm hoping that will come through. It has for many, many years, and I expect that it will again this year. So basically, as I say, it's a level service budget. I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, I guess I'll go first. And I'll start by making a motion for $659,973. Is there a second?
Second, Jones?
Moved by Melendez, seconded by Jones.
Can you repeat the number?
659,973. Okay, so this is an increase of $70,000. The purpose of this is to add a full-time addiction counselor to the staff at Human Services. I understand they have a vacancy currently, but this is would be a whole new position with a different, I guess, mission. I've studied the data in Connecticut, and I actually have, if Liam would help me out here, share the screen here. Just 1 second. All right, so while this is loading, this is essentially an interactive tool. It's data that's been collected from the state of Connecticut. They started collecting in 2015. They have data continuing up to this year, although this year's data is not obviously up to date. But so in 2015, they started collecting data. That's when a spike had already occurred in overdose deaths. So if you could see on the right side, it's kind of small here, but it says about 725 overdose deaths in 2015. This is in all of Connecticut, and you could see the number rise. 2016, 900. We broke 1,000 in 2017, and you just see it grow. Last year, I believe that says 1,500 deaths. So we've doubled overdose deaths in Connecticut in the last 7 years, I suppose. This is a interactive tool, so if you click New London County, it'll show you New London County specific data. And you could see the trends the same. New London County, 2015, 60 overdose deaths, and you could just see it grow. Oh, thank you. You could see it grow. You can also do Ledgely Health District, or you can click Groton specifically there, and you can see townwide data is much more volatile than statewide data. But as you can see, 2018, 15, 16, 17, 8, 7, 7 had a spike in 2018. You see a drop there, and then last year we had 11 overdose deaths. So we're averaging at this moment about 1 overdose death per month, but you can see the trend in Connecticut, in our county, in our health district, and in our town is trending upwards. So I've looked into a lot of the resources that are available to persons struggling with addiction, and there are resources out there coming from the state and local resources like SCAD in London, but from me looking at the data, I don't see how it's enough. Since these numbers continue to rise, I think we need to do something here locally, and I hope the council can support this. Councilor Franco?
Well, I wasn't quite expecting this tonight. So you're looking to add a position for $70,000 for an addiction counselor specialist.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't aware that we were going to add this tonight. Does the director of that department want to speak on this, on behalf of this?
Director Fondoulis?
I am certainly aware of the situation that exists with the extent of substance abuse, not just throughout our town, state, but the country as a whole. I would not be in favor of bringing a new position into the department. I would be in favor of continuing and increasing the support that the town has with existing agencies that are doing their level best to deal with an increasingly difficult situation. I don't believe one new position in the town would significantly change the situation. We are, in fact, my department is presently partnering with New London County Cares, which is it's a partnership of Alliance for Living and Ledgelight Health District to bring an outreach unit to the department, to our building, every Wednesday, starting in early May. I think it's May 4th, I think is the Wednesday. And the purpose of this is to continue to try to connect with persons that are already receiving some services from this program, from the New London County Cares program. They have what they call care navigators that go out into the community and have been doing this for several years now, and have connected with the homeless population, with persons who are dealing with substance abuse, and are already fairly well connected in the community. I think the important factor that they have is the trust level that's been built up already with the persons that they're working with. And they'll be coming to our building. As I say, they have a mobile outreach unit. It's a van that has resources on it, staff on it, and I've also offered the use of office space in our building for them to meet with individuals, programs as they feel they need to. I'm also a big fan of what SCAD is accomplishing, and I'm always glad to have the knowledge that the town has supported SCAD continuously through the years. We are connected with the GASP Coalition as well, and in fact use GASP. Caroline Wilson at GASP often is the key person that we go to if we have a youth who is going through our youth review board and needs a diversion because of, say, anything from vaping to marijuana possession, etc. And Caroline has been excellent in working with the youth going through that program. So, it's a situation where it's a very difficult problem to confront across the country. But I think we are very fortunate in New London County to have resources available and to be connecting with those resources, to be bringing those resources to Groton. And I do feel it takes a village, and it's something that we need to continue to connect, excuse me, with the existing resources and build on those partnerships. So that's my 2 cents on the subject.
There's also, is there other facilities in Groton that offer assistance? I believe down Quantic Road.
Well, that's Stonington Institute. And that, yes, that is another, it's another program that does offer extensive programming. They are located there at the Trails Corner. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about, as well as Community Speaks Out.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Um,
And also, excuse me, the town is contributing to UCFS, United Community and Family Services. I believe it's $4,000 that goes towards their outreach programs, including their emergency mobile psych unit, which has been a resource for not just human services, but also I'm sure the police as well have used it in situations where there's a crisis at hand involving someone who may be involved with substance abuse or other mental health issues, excuse me.
Thank you. I will say, I mean, I've had family members pass away from addiction issues, and this is something that's very important to me. While on the other side of the spectrum here, I think we have other services in our community that meet the needs. And listening to Director Von Brulis, she is not in favor of this and actually is opposed to it. So I would rather see, when we get our opioid settlement come in, that we make sure that we fund and take care of the outreach programs that are in our community and make sure that they're well funded with that settlement. Although I do appreciate bringing this forward, and I think it's very noble, and I think it's something that in general is a very nice idea. I think our community has services right now. Thank you.
Councilor Kassiri.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree that I think the sentiment has the right idea going forward with supporting. It's a very big issue, and I understand that. But I will also not be supporting the number, as the director herself is not in favor of the position, because we do have other services. I would be much more in favor of using the opioid money to support our already existing programs. And I'd also like to remind everyone that we just hired our new social worker for the police department, which I think is going to be a much more effective way of identifying addiction issues right in the field. And hopefully that service can start getting more people into the already provided services that we have. Thank you.
Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Director Fondolis, you had mentioned that we have an unfilled counselor position currently, and you're waiting for sort of the caseloads to come back up. Could that person's job description be changed a little bit to cover some of these issues? Half-time with this and half-time with counseling? I mean, we already have a position that's funded that there's nobody in. Could stuff be shifted around a little bit to put some of these tasks on that person?
The responsibilities, responsibilities inherent in an addiction counselor, a specialist, I cannot imagine would be handled part-time. I'm not convinced that it is a position that we should have in any capacity in the municipal structure. I think it is much addressed through the existing programs in the community and building on those programs. So I would not be inclined to think that that would be a way to go. It's a tremendous responsibility, and I have not worked as an addiction counselor. I don't speak from personal experience, but certainly from what I have learned through the years is that trust is a huge factor, and the building of trust. And there are programs that are in existence right now that know what they're doing and know how to go about it. And yes, the numbers may be going up. It may be it's a tough battle. It's excruciatingly painful for those that are affected by substance abuse and family members. But I just can't stress enough that I think it's something that needs to be handled by the existing programs that we can bring to Groton, that we have space at the Human Services building. I'm waiting right now for the registrar's office that's been vacated to be another space that's available for programs, whether it's the homeless shelters, whether it's it's domestic violence counselors, whether it's food stamp programs, or SNAP as it's called, whether it's substance abuse programs. I mean, we can bring those to Groton and take advantage of people who are well-versed and experienced in the field.
Do you think that there are people falling through the cracks right now with the existing programs that we have, or we have access to?
I think there are people falling through the cracks no matter what program you're running, no matter what program it is, where it's located, how many staff you have involved, how tremendous your program is. There are going to be people falling through the cracks. It is impossible to catch every situation before it evolves into a more serious situation. Every single agency, I would imagine, would say, we do the level best we can to prevent those cracks from opening up and swallowing up people. But it is not realistic to think that it doesn't happen.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Counselor Bordelon?
Thank you. My first question is for the town manager. The $70,000 that is being possibly proposed tonight, that would not include the benefits and everything that the staff person would need, correct?
It includes some of it. The base salary is estimated by the HR director to be about $62,000, so it includes some. But if they took, like family health care, it would not be enough. So it depends on which benefits they end up with.
Right, so I think it would go up. I have trouble, at this time, adding a new position when we have a position that we're not even utilizing. I'm in full support of this. I think that, to my point, how Mrs. Fondoulis had stated, my thought process, as this was just presented to me tonight, the flyer, the presentation, with no time to really do any other research, it would seem providing space and bringing the programs in and having a way of funding it. There could be a push where you utilize the counselors that we have. So to the Counselor Jones's point about the non-utilized position, there's a way where they don't have to be counselors necessarily to be addiction counselors, but have we thought about trying to head it off from a town perspective on education? Mrs. Fondoulis, I think prevention is a way that we could maybe as a town be proactive. Is that something that could be done?
I think that's what the GASP Coalition is all about, and has been working strenuously for years in that regard. And I endorse what they do. Don't feel that we are partnering with them already. So I believe that's already well in place.
So, to me, I think providing space to bring in more programs, we have a lot of areas in our town that aren't being used, so I think the first step would be to start to provide space to bring in these outreach programs. I'm not sure how I feel. I did do a little quick research here, and, other towns do not seem to be the thing in New London County, that they hire an addiction counselor on staff for the town?
I'm sorry, your question broke up as it was coming through.
Sure.
I don't.
Do you find that in other municipalities they hire an addiction counselor on staff?
I'm not aware of that,
Yeah.
but quite honestly, I have not done any research to find that out. I have not heard that in my dealings with persons in my similar position across the state. It's not something that has come up. So I'm inclined to say that it's not happening. I'm inclined to think that a lot of municipalities are partnering with existing community agencies.
Yeah. I guess it's tough for me without any research. It's hard to support it, even though I really want to. I think it's a great, effort and is well needed. I think ways that we can support this in a different direction would be, funding homelessness and childcare issues and other things in our community that lead people to addiction. And that's kind of how we, as a community, can start to head it off in the meantime. But thank you for your answers.
Manager Burt?
Just to mention, the HR director reached out to CCM to do some research on this. They replied back today that they could not find any, and that they reached out to that had this position. Doesn't mean somebody didn't, choose to not respond that has it, but they couldn't find any.
Council Franco?
This is just more of an informational question. Ms. Fundalis, when you have people come into Human Services and they're seeking help, and if you found that somebody does have an addiction problem, do you just send, help them get the help they need in the outside services? It's not that you don't help them at all, is that correct? I mean, or do you help provide other outside services?
We have three, we're fortunate, very fortunate to have three very experienced social workers on staff, each of whom is very capable of assessing a situation and making an appropriate referral to whatever agency is necessary, whether, as I say, whether it's a domestic violence situation, whether it's a substance abuse situation. They are well-versed in the resources in the community and on a first-name basis with many of the players in those agencies, so that they can pick up the phone while the person's in their office and say, this is the situation that's happening. What can you do? What should be the next step here? And help guide the person to the resources that are available.
And if there was a hiring of this position, what would they just be working Monday through Friday, during the day? Would they work on weekends and nights, and when probably there's more assistance would be needed?
I would imagine it would be a youth position, and that would have to be determined as with any new position coming into the town.
Does anybody else in your staff work different hours other than Monday through Friday? Well, majority of Monday through Friday day hours?
We have some exceptions that are made, especially with regards to the youth counselor. If he has a client that cannot get there by, say, 4:30 on a weekday, and can get there by, say, 5 o'clock at night, then he can work with that youth later, or he can work earlier in the morning. Then our starting time is 8:30, but he can work earlier. I think he's had some people coming in at 7:30 to meet with him before they go to school. So there's some flexibility there, but generally speaking, we're a 5-day-a-week, 8:30 to 4:30 operation.
All right, thank you.
Councilor Westervelt has arrived at 6:29. And just so you're aware, Councilor Westervelt, we are on Human Services. We have two motions on the floor, $589,973 and an amended motion of $659,973, which is an increase of $70,000 to add an addiction counselor to Human Services, and that's what we're discussing now. Councilor McBride?
Hi, thank you. I think this is an extremely important initiative. It appears that everyone is in favor of moving forward in one direction or another, whether it was working with nonprofits or a potentially new hire. But it also appears to me this clearly needs more vetting, much more detailed vetting, much more involvement with the director as part of the process. And I think it should not be part of this particular budget year. I think more time needs, and I think it's a perfect use for ARPA funding and should be considered later on at that point. Thank you.
Councilor Kassir?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to reinforce, and Director, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not abnormal to outsource services. For instance, if someone came to one of your social workers and they had a domestic violence issue, you would probably refer them to Safe Futures. Or if someone was homeless, you would refer them to the Homeless Hospitality Center. Or if they were involved in a court case and needed more, services, then they could potentially be referred to victim services advocates with the court system. Is that correct?
That's completely correct.
Great. And I just wanted people at home to realize that it's not an abnormal thing. It's completely normal that when you need a specialty service, you direct them to services that actually specialize in those areas. Thank you.
Councilor McBride, is that another hand?
I think it's still up.
I apologize, I'll take it down.
Oh, that's okay. Councilor Baumgartner?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm certainly not going to try to read the tea leaves on how this vote may go, but I just want to commend the mayor for putting out this idea and proposal. Even if it doesn't get the support tonight, the mayor brought forth numbers illuminating and illustrating the great need to do something more than the status quo, do something more than what we are currently doing. As seen in the data, year after year, opioid abuse is skyrocketed, become out of control, and the status quo is simply not working. And so, unfortunately, this is not something that just Groton is afflicted with. It's something that our whole region, New London County, and certainly the state and an entire country is facing. So I would certainly agree that, obviously we need to continue to working with our outside agencies to tackle this pandemic, but certainly we can do our part, I think, in the future to make a bigger impact to ensure that people are getting the help, not just folks who certainly are struggling with addiction, but the folks that you wouldn't necessarily know who are struggling with addiction, and not just opioid addiction, but all substance abuse, whether it's alcoholism, and whether it's other forms of narcotics. So again, just want to hat tip the mayor for putting out this idea, and hope that we can revisit this again in the future if it does not have the support this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just piggyback off of Councilor Baumgartner. I'm not arguing here that there are no services for persons struggling with addiction. I know that there are services. I know them well. I've spoken to many of them. And what they have said to me is that there aren't enough services. That's what this proposal is for, to add additional services. Now, do I think that this one position in the town of Groton will solve this problem? No. But I also don't think that because it won't completely solve the problem, that adding the extra help is not worth it. So I'll just say, because the opioid settlement was brought up, we are receiving money. And we're receiving money because people are dying. That's why we're receiving money. And they're not dying after we get the money. They're dying now, and they have been dying for years. And I don't think that we can wait on a lawsuit or the state. I think we should do something now. And I urge the council to support this. Any other discussion? Councilor Bordelon.
Thank you. For the town manager, if this was to pass, how quickly would this position be put into place?
We'd have to write a job description. First of all, get it approved by the council, and then we would go out to advertise for it.
And you said roughly the medical portion of the financial is not depicted in this number per se.
Right.
So we're not sure. And do you have an idea of where that number would be?
Depends on which, what they take.
Ballpark?
And it's
or-
really not broken out by department anyway, so it would be fine on this. These numbers would be pretty accurate for the department.
I think that's my only question. And then if we're getting the opiate funds, would this position, would there be some coordination on how we would utilize that money in relationship with having a counselor on hand, and was there any thought into that, or?
Well, it depends on how the job description is written. Are they just providing counseling services, or are they going beyond that? It could be anything we want it to be.
Right, because I just think it would be really important if this was to pass, that the description is written as such so that we kind of encapsulate the funding and outreach or whatever services that money is being earmarked to do. I don't have that in front of me tonight to look at because I wasn't prepared for that, but, like how that's coming from the state and what uses that would have would be another thought that would have to kind of go into, I think, the job description. It would just make sense to kind of, create that in a way that it could be, utilized in its, in the fashion it was, obviously given for.
Same thing we'd want with the police social worker too. Yeah, we'd want that person to be actively involved too.
Actively involved with
Involved with helping determine where the dollars go and where the need is.
Right.
Right.
I mean, I guess that could be a collaboration, but I think
Mhm.
both would then be,
Mhm.
it would seem to me.
Sure.
And it would seem to me
Mhm.
that also, that job description would say something, or could be collaborating with the counselor from the police, side as well. So it
Right.
would be like in conjunction. I don't know, just some thoughts,
Mhm.
but, thank you.
Point of information.
What's your point of information?
Mr. Burt, is this a salary that is adequate for a clinician versus a regular social worker?
It'd be a regular social worker. Yeah, we don't have certifications for our other counselors. And so this was a recommendation if we did something from the HR director.
So this individual would not be able to commit an individual if
Correct.
necessary?
Right.
Thank you.
All right, I'm seeing no other discussion. I'll call for a vote on account 1051 in the amount of $659,973. Counselor Bordelon,
I'll say yes to this.
Counselor Baumgardner,
Yes.
Counselor Kasiri,
No.
Counselor Franco,
No?
Counselor Jones,
Yes.
Counselor McBride,
No.
Counselor Parker,
Abstain.
Counselor Westervelt.
Yes.
Melendez is a yes. That carries 5 in favor, 3 opposed, Kasiri, Franco, McBride, 1 abstaining, Parker. On to Human Services Assistance Fund, account 7320. Can be found on page 136. And I'll make a motion for $10,000.
Second, Bordelon?
Baumgartner?
Moved by Melendez.
Hey, point of order. There was a little lag on that one. I think I had that one first.
There's always a lag when you're on that thing.
Moved by Melendez, seconded by Baumgardner. Director Fondulis?
In this account, we're asking for the same appropriation that we have in years past. And just as a point of interest here, the existing appropriation for this year, this current year's budget of $10,000 was fully used by January of this year. We had assisted 32 families with rent payments. And having said that, we're trying to stretch the monies in this special trust fund as far as we can, and therefore I'm not looking to increase the appropriation because there's only so much money left in this account. We could very easily use it up very quickly. So I have left it at the $10,000, knowing full well that we would have other resources, other funds that we can tap into as well to help with rent. So, but this has been as Spicer Fund was before it, it's been a wonderful resource to have.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Counselor Bordelon?
Just kind of clarifying to the town manager and to Mrs. Fundulis, There was some emergency funds from ARPA that were appropriated to help also offset the cost of rental assistance and any other things. Is that helping?
Marge would be the better, I mean, they're out there now, but I don't know if she's had anybody take
Because I see
advantage
that
of it.
you're doing only 10,000, and I heard you want to stretch the funds, but I just want to make sure that other funds are supporting that.
Well, we do have other funds that we can utilize. One of them is the ARPA funding that we have, and we presently have, I believe, 7 cases that are pending. All are awaiting documentation because the one really significant piece of ARPA funding is that everything be very well documented. So as far as the effect of COVID being related to the reason that there is a financial need in a given household. So we are awaiting documentation on each one of those cases that's pending.
And the 10,000 that you're recommending out of this account, it looks like in years past, looks like you did 7,000 or so of sorts. Do you think this 10,000 is enough, or this is just basically what you feel comfortable with, as you stated, to stretch the account?
Well, that will allow us to have this account available for maybe 2 more years.
And how much is currently in this account?
I think it's, well, on page 136, under background, it mentions, I think it's the 3rd paragraph here, it mentions it's projected, the estimated fund balance as of June 22 is projected at 22,000.
Okay. So that's the account that you're trying to stretch for a couple more years?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right, seeing no further discussion, I'll call for a vote on account 7320 in the amount of $10,000. Counselor Bordelon?
Yes.
Counselor Baumgardner?
Yes.
Counselor Kasiri?
Yes.
Counselor Franco?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor McBride?
Yes.
Counselor Parker?
Yes.
Counselor Westervelt?
Yes.
And Melendez is yes. That carries 9 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstaining.
Mayor, I just touch base real quick on the first budget. Just to mention, basically what the council's done is given permission to add it. You know, they of course can't direct the director to add a position, but I want to do a deep dive on this to really make sure we get the right thing, so.
Okay.
Oops, sorry.
Okay.
Going off.
So wait, can I question that?
I have a question as well. Sorry.
Okay. What's your question?
So if the director said she didn't want the opioid specialist in her department and we're allocating the funds, you're saying that she does not have to add that position to her department?
The council can't direct that to her. Now, the council could generally set a policy that we have one. Now, it might be, you know, we do want them to be able to commit people. It might be, once we get really into it, it might be that it works in tandem in the police department with the social worker, and that we ask for a change. So I wouldn't, you know, don't lock into this exact number. You know, it could change, so.
Okay.
What do
Counselor
you mean
Bordelon,
change?
what's your question?
What do you mean by change?
Well, we have got to study, we've done very top of the surface, you know, looking at this. So we have to really dig in before we would add something.
So we just added 70,000 extra potentially to our budget, and we, honestly, nobody's
Okay.
really done the
Counselor
background.
Bordelon,
No, I'm not
what's-
done speaking, I'm sorry.
You're on a point of information. We are not discussing
We are-
1051
It was brought up,
any longer.
and I'm
We're
discussing.
not discussing 1051 any longer. We are
So we
past
added
that account.
70,000 to the budget, we
You are
didn't
out
do the
of order.
background, and it might not be used, and it would go back to
Counselor
the
Franco,
general
you're out
fund,
of
is that
order.
correct? I'm,
Counselor Franco, you are out of, we are no longer discussing Human Services 1051.
then why was it allowed to be discussed?
You asked for a point of information.
No, I didn't.
You asked your question.
I did not.
Counselor
I am
Bordelon, what's your
bouncing
point of
off of the
information?
town manager commenting.
Counselor Bordelon, what's your point of information?
I just don't feel comfortable with my vote. I'm just a little unclear. Again, this was given to us tonight.
That's not a point of information.
I'm asking a question that simply, give me a minute, please.
A point, okay.
My
Hold on,
point
just
of
one
infor-
second. Let
my
me just take
point
the
of-
floor for a second.
my
A
point of
What is
information-
your question?
It was, please give me the chance to speak. Is that what the manager just stated was not stated prior to the vote. And if that is what is stated, that changes my whole thought on my vote. Does that make sense?
So,
So I feel like I was giving not the proper information to do such, and it was said, oh, by the way, after, this might be moved into the police department. Oh, by the way, she has the choice to
Okay.
put it into it or
Okay.
not. That, to me, is not comfortable that we just voted on something that might not even
Okay.
be in that department.
Okay.
So I would like a revote on that.
okay, so what you can do is you can make a motion to reconsider.
I'd like a motion to reconsider this and talk about what the town manager
Okay,
just
Is
stated.
there a second for the motion to
Desiree
reconsider?
will second.
We have a motion to reconsider account 1051. Counselor Bordelon?
Are we going to, can I hear a little bit more of what the town manager had stated on that? Because that's new information that just came to us after.
I pulled up, we just heard back from CCM today about the, what the salaries are at for nationwide. They don't have them for the state, but for nationwide. Arnisha, the HR director, took a look at that. She recommended offhand that we match other counselors. We'd want to, of course, not having the certifications. We'd want to, of course, really dig in. We don't just want to add. We want to really dig into it first. We just haven't had that time. And I've never seen or heard of a council adding a position onto a department that didn't request it or want it. So, I want to have a thorough talk with her on how it works and what exactly is needed and how we best help the public. And the money could certainly be, if we have a switch, it might be a little more money needed, or,
I just don't feel comfortable if it's allocated for this department and the counselor is going to be part of human services, that's what my vote is for. And if it's saying that we're not sure if we'll have it, then we're allocating money that we're holding, and then it might be going to the police department instead, then that should be voted on the police line. So I feel like it's too wishy-washy for me. So I feel like this is something that, should have been brought before the vote. And that's why the last-minute papers and things at the 11th hour don't work well. And then the comments after the vote, oh, by the way, she doesn't have to do it, that's kind of a big change after we just voted on something. That continuity needs to be there, so.
Counselor Jones?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Town manager, is this something that you could do some research and then come back at a later time, and this is a position we could add at a later time when we had a bigger picture and a better presentation?
Sure. It wouldn't be part of this budget, though, then.
But it's...
Unless you left the money in there, it'd be a separate out of the, tights last night for this.
But the way these positions seem to go, they seem to go through several budgets anyways before they sort of they get into position. But I'm kind of agreeing with Councilor Bordelon on the little bit uncomfortableness on this. I'd like to move a new number, make a motion.
We have
You have
to,
to reconsider.
the motion to reconsider has to pass first.
Oh, sorry.
Counselor Bordelon, how do you vote? Motion to reconsider?
I had another question to ask. Are we still in discussion mode, or?
I just called the vote. So how do you vote?
To reconsider?
Yes.
I'm not in favor of this motion as stated with all the,
No, we're voting on whether we're going to reconsider 1051.
I'd like to reconsider, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Counselor Baumgartner?
No.
Counselor Kasiri?
Yes.
Counselor Franco?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor McBride?
Yes.
Counselor Parker?
Yes.
Counselor Westervelt?
Yes.
Melendez is a no. That carries 7 in favor, 2 opposed. Melendez, Baumgartner, 0 abstaining.
And I apologize for kind of, as I got to think about it, I honestly didn't think with the director being that strong against it that it would move through. And I got starting to think about the charter and processes, and what we definitely want is this position to be fully supported wherever it's at, that there's the full buy-in to get the most out of it. So,
Do I still have the floor?
Counselor Jones.
All right. I would like to make a motion for a new number on the floor. to the original budget, town manager's number of $589,973.
Second, Bordelon?
I can speak to it for
Yeah.
a moment. I think we have some confusion, and that the director doesn't seem to want it at this moment or know what to do with it and has alternative resources. I think we just need more time to kind of look at this. I think that the town manager can come back and give us a lot more information and a better presentation, and this is a terrible problem that we have going on in our community, but it will be going on for a long time, and I think we can bring resources to it at a future date, so.
Yeah, I do agree with the urgency to figure something out. I just want to make sure whatever we do spend money on, that we get the most out of it, that we provide the most help.
I have a motion for account 1051, 500, I'm just reading the motion, $589,973, moved by Jones, seconded by Bordelon. Councilor Bordelon?
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with Councilor Jones. I think the after message and more information changes the whole thing. I'm in full support of a position like this, but I need more clarification. Possibly could go to the police department, possibly won't be used. We got to talk to the director if she doesn't want it. All those variables. The way this was presented with these handouts and all, it, to me seemed like, I mean, the after comment is just confusing as this was handed out by the town with the presentation up on the screen. This is definitely something that should have been talked about at another point, and I just don't feel comfortable with the change in the verbiage after the vote. That doesn't sit well with me. So I just think in future, we need to make sure we kind of solidify this a little bit better. And if in fact the comments that were stated, or there's more information to add to a topic, it should be part of the vote is all, just to really help, because I don't have that information in front of me. And that really threw a big curveball in this. So thank you.
Councilor Kasiri?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to remind everyone that the director herself stated that she did not feel like this was going to work in her department. The reason why I point of information before and asked whether or not this position was a clinician was because now we're also getting into a scenario where if potentially an individual who needs help needs to be committed, which happens sometimes, we're already going to have to refer to another agency in order to deal with that scenario, so that makes it ineffective. And we don't have enough information at this time, and there is probably a reason why other municipalities don't have a position like this, because when you only have one individual that is tasked with this, they're going to have to probably refer to outside agencies no matter what. Thank you.
And again, I apologize for being late. My brain was lagging a little bit on that. But it just seems to me with that, we've got a pilot going for the social worker, that there might be a good opportunity to really tie them together and really get something done.
All right, seeing no further discussion, I'll call for a vote on count 1051, $589,973. Councilor Bordelon?
Yes.
Councilor Baumgartner?
Yes.
Councilor Kasiri?
Yes.
Councilor Franco?
Yes.
Councilor Jones?
Yes.
Councilor McBride?
Yes.
Councilor Parker?
Yes.
Councilor Westervelt?
Yes.
Melendez is a no. That carries 8 in favor, 1 opposed. Melendez, 0 abstaining. On to Public Works, account 1035. Can be found on page 105. Make a motion for $6,136,310.
Kasiri, second.
Moved by Melendez, seconded by Kasiri. Director Hanover?
Good evening, everybody. Greg Hanover, Director of Public Works. With me this evening, I have Stacy Leach. She is my administrative supervisor who does my day-to-day budgeting and personnel. issues. And then also online, we have Bob Charette, who's the Fleet and Facilities Manager. So the 1035 is our general public works budget, and as was stated, this year it's $6,136,310. This is a 4.6% increase, which represents $272,000 roughly. This is a level service budget. There's no new programs proposed. The only staff change is that we did eliminate the sustainability project manager when that person retired a couple months ago. That position's now in a different function, not in Public Works any longer. This is my first budget increase. The last 2 years, I've actually had a budget decrease, but unfortunately, I can't sustain that trend, and for a number of reasons, we do have an increase this year. But it is worth pointing out that this budget is roughly equivalent to the approved FYE 20 budget, which was 3 years ago. Our personnel is up $75,000 due to contractual obligations, and our operations are up about $193,000. Just quickly kind of going through the operations increases. Administration and engineering cost centers roughly is 0 changes there. Building maintenance went up $26,000. Some of that is increased custodial services, inflationary increases in parts and materials, and we also have a line item in there for $18,000 to repaint the exterior of the Groton Ambulance Building. Our MS4, our stormwater permitting program, we have a $38,000 increase. A lot of that is for needed maintenance of what we call gross particle separators, which are all throughout town and separate oils, grit, and everything from getting in our waterways. Those need to be cleaned out. We have some stormwater sampling that we are required to do that needs to get done this year. So that's the reason for that increase. In roads and streets, we have a $35,000 increase. Some of it's inflationary increase for parts and materials, but a large portion of that is $29,000 for a loader-mounted side dumping bucket, which we have one, which we use all the time when we're paving. Makes our operation very efficient. That part is really wearing out, and we are in need of a new side dump bucket. Snow and ice is a $14,000 increase, and that's strictly due to the increase in salt costs. Street lights, we have a small increase for inflationary for parts, electricity. Landfill monitoring, we have an $8,000 increase. We're actually looking to, we have a consultant that we use for flare maintenance, and believe it or not, the landfill's starting to run out of gas. So the flare has a lot of problems keeping going, so we're going to actually look to see if we can actually get rid of that flare. So we have some money in there to do that this year. The transfer station, we have some $5,000 increase. One of the items we're looking for there is a loader-mounted magnetic sweeper so that we can go around at the end of the day and pick up loose nails and screws so that we don't get them in our tires or the residents don't get them in their tires. Fleet is up about $16,000. Some of that is for the Fuel Master, which is our fuel system. We have a hosting agreement. That's $6,000. Then there's some diagnostic scanning tools, and there's some other inflationary increases for that. Vacated schools is up about $6,000. We've taken on the 2 elementary schools, Butler and Claude Chester. So we have a little bit of money we need for that. And then utilities is a large increase of $43,000. The cost of oil is, we've estimated to go up about 85 cents a gallon. And of course, electricity, sewer, water, natural gas, everything else has increased in price. So that all totals up to about $193,000 increase in operations. We're not proposing any changes this year to the transfer station fees or our operating hours. It seems to be working very well. The residents are happy with the new fee structure. And that's it. I will be happy to entertain any questions.
Andrew Burt.
I just wanted to note that Councilor McBride had to leave the meeting at 6:55.
Thank you. Councilor Bordelon.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to see, I know at one point we had voted to add like the military discount to the fees that you guys were collecting. Has that been helpful?
Yes, we did do that. In fact, I have the numbers here somewhere. I think we've sold, for the military, well, we've sold about 52 passes to the military. And, you know, comparatively speaking, we've sold almost 1,000 permits all year, so about 52 of them are for the military. I would say, actually, most of them, about 480 or so, are for the seniors, the senior pass, which is $75.
And in this budget, is there any money being allocated to get, so you can pay by card down there?
We do not have that in here. We're still, I think the town as a whole is still looking at that issue.
I know that's one of the things in my notes, that I had asked several years ago, and a lot of the folks who had asked different things, wanting military discount as well as accessibility to pay for fees at the site without having to have cash.
Right.
I just didn't know if any of that was helping to onboard any of that in this budget. No, I can understand, looking at this, I did review over the last several years and noticed that, you have taken some decreases, and I can see where, at some point, it's bringing you back to the starting numbers of several years ago. So I can appreciate the nail collector metal thing. That saves the town money on our own vehicles as well as anybody else going into there. So I think that is definitely an important purchase. What is that costing?
I believe that was like $10,000.
All right, that's all the questions I have. Thank you. Thank you
Counselor
for
Jones?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Director Handover, so I notice in here on the school, the snow and ice control, it just mentions Fitch Middle School and Konaski School. Did you say we're also now doing several other schools in the snow plowing?
We do the roads that lead up to those schools because they're essentially such long driveways, which is Konaski and the middle school, and also the Fitch High School. And the Board of Ed does all the parking lots at those particular schools. And then the other schools, the driveways are so short that the Board of Ed takes care of those.
Okay, so we're just doing the roads that are leading,
Correct.
this leading up to them?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Can you just tell me what just looking on the financing plan, what is the municipal project grant? On page 108. It's the second line item in the financing plan.
It sounds like the money we're getting from the state.
So do they contribute, is that a yearly contribution that they make to towns? This is municipal project grant, and it went up to $2.3 million.
Maybe that's a question for Director Landry.
That is a grant that we do receive that from the state, and it's limited to public works items that can be used for paving, tree removal, those items. So we put it in the public works budget to go to offset the cost of their budget.
And is that something that just sort of comes automatically every year, or is it something we apply for? or
No, as long as it's in the governor's budget,
It just keeps coming?
yes.
Okay, all right. I'm just worried if it came out, it's a $2.3 million expense that,
That is an increase in, based on the governor's proposed budget that he
Okay.
gave out in February.
all right, great. I think that's it. All right, thank you.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call for a vote on account 1035, amount of $6,136,310. Counselor Bordelon?
Yes.
Counselor Baumgartner?
Yes.
Counselor Kasiri?
Yes.
Counselor Franco?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor McBride?
McBride left.
Oh. Counselor Parker?
Yes.
Counselor Westervelt?
Yes.
Melendez is a yes. That carries 8 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstaining. Okay, on to sewer operating fund, account 2020, page 111. Make a motion for $8,069,597.
Second?
Moved by Melendez, seconded by Bordelon.
Okay, this is our sewer operating budget. This budget is totally sustained by sewer user fees. It is a large increase this year of 22.7%. Most of that is due to the fact that this capital improvement projects, CIPs, they're assigned to this particular account, increased, I think, about $1.5 million. Other increases in this account are property insurance, went up about $23,000. Utilities and fuels, again, is an increase. Professional technical services, we have an increase in our guard services, and sledge hauling, which is, we truck out our sledge. And then also, when our total cost increases, we give a certain percentage to the general fund to cover accounting, tax collectors send out bills, payments, invoices, receivables, all that type of thing. So there's an increase because that percentage just generally increases when we increase our budget. So the general fund sees quite a bit more money from us. But all in all, the majority of this increase is due to the CIPs that were approved this past Saturday. And just, the only other thing I just want to add is the WPCA, they did look at this budget, approve it, and they are looking at a potentially very modest user fee increase of, I think, 50 cents a month for residential and 0.001 cubic foot for commercial, something like that.
Thank you. Counselor Jones?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Mr. Hanover, does that $1.5 million for CIPs, is that what is going into this 5460 reserve fund on page 114, the last line item? Is it
The 1.5?
the 1.5?
Yeah, that's we approved $2 million in capital projects.
Okay.
And so we got the 1.5 here, and then we also have 500 from a capital reserve fund that we're putting in there, so that makes the 2 million.
So that line item is where that money sits until you're ready to spend it on?
Correct.
Okay. And is that something I notice in 2021, it's at $1.4 million. Is that sort of a level that you keep that fund at?
Yeah, we get some fund balance, and we kind of build it up and then spend it, so we're kind of like spending on larger projects about every other year. So you'll see this number fluctuate quite a bit.
And this is all paid for out of user fees? Is that-
Correct.
So there's nothing
Nothing out of general.
out of general fund?
No.
But, and then the $1 million that's on page 113 on fund balance applied, is that really the same money? Or is that coming out of general fund? Seeing the financing plan the last
It's
time.
not general fund.
It's not general fund. No, the user fees, there's two fund balances. There's a capital reserve fund, and then there's a operations fund from the user fees.
Okay.
So, when both of those build up.
So there's two things going on here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Counselor Baumgartner?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a question for Mr. Hanover, Director Hanover, rather. The mailing of the sewer fees, so when you mail out a sewer bill, how often does that happen?
The commercial are billed monthly, and residential's, they pay quarterly.
And just out of curiosity, would the town experience any form of savings if it were mailed out, say, twice a month concurrently with the tax bill?
Twice a year.
Twice a year.
Twice a year. With the tax bill, I don't.
I'm sorry, twice
I'm
a year?
sorry,
with the
the bills are only sent once a year to residential with all 4 coupons on them, aren't
Oh.
they? They're mailed out once a year, and you get 4 coupons to pay quarterly. I'm sorry for interrupting. I think he's frozen.
Counselor Baumgartner, you have the floor.
No, I didn't know what the answer was from Mr. Hanover. I couldn't hear him.
Well, Counselor Franco answered it. We mail out, because the tax collector does that, so I wasn't familiar, but they mail out one bill, but it has 4 stubs on it that you can mail in quarterly. So we just do one mailing a year.
But you had mentioned that the commercial accounts are mailed once a month?
Yes.
Why is that?
It's based on the water usage for that month. It's not a flat rate. It's a monthly charge based on the water rate that the commercial use uses.
But would the town have any savings if they sent fewer notices and did it, once, every 3 months or every 6 months? Because it's only impacting the commercial accounts, not the residential accounts, correct?
If we did it more than once a month, yes.
I think most businesses would rather though have it more often so they stay on top of it.
I'm sure residential accounts would like the same opportunity, but, there must be a reason why they're not afforded that same opportunity, correct?
It's much different usage.
Yeah, commercial bills could be quite substantially higher than the residential bills.
Yes, but, commercial accounts also have a much larger, much larger capacity to pay their bills, that's just my opinion, but I feel like there should be more parity in that, and, it's not something that we can tackle tonight, but I certainly do think if there was more parity, there could be some savings, and to apply it, not have that applied to the residential folks, but to the commercial, I'm struggling to understand why. I'm sure there was a reason at a time for implementing it, but I still think there should be more parity. But maybe this is a conversation for another day, but I wanted to ask during this line item because certainly it's a big source of the revenue. So thank you, Mr. Hanover.
Counselor Jones?
This is more of a point of information. Those of us who aren't on the sewer, who have septic systems, I have my property tax bill right here. It comes on the property tax bill. It comes twice a year on property tax, so that's where it ends up. I know we have a sewer. I think I've asked you this question a couple years ago. Why?
Sewer use tax, it's not the user fee.
Yeah, if you don't have if you're not on the sewer system, you have a sewer, it's Groton Sewer District.
District tax, yeah.
District tax, yeah.
Pays for your bonding for the sewer-wide projects.
Right.
But it also allows your septic hauler, when you pump out your septic tank, they can take it to our facility for no charge.
Okay. So it comes on the property tax, so.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call for a vote on account 2020 in the amount of $8,069,597. Counselor Bordelon?
Yep.
Counselor Baumgartner?
Yes.
Counselor Kassiri?
Yes.
Counselor Franco?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Parker?
Yes.
Counselor Westervelt?
Yes.
Melendez is a yes. That carries 8 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstaining. On to Solid Waste Fund 2030 on page 117.
I'll move $1,549,594.
Second, Jones?
Moved by Kassiri, seconded by Jones.
Okay, this solid waste account is essentially a pass-through account where all the waste that's generated in Groton, that the haulers haul it up to Lisbon. We get a bill from SCARA, and then we bill the haulers, and they reimburse us. We have a slight decrease this year, even though our tipping fee the town's portion of the tipping fee is increasing from $58 a ton to $59.25 per ton, because our anticipated, there's an anticipated decrease in the materials being brought to the facility, so there's a slight decrease in this account.
Okay, seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Account 2030 in the amount of $1,549,594. Counselor Bordelon?
Yes.
Counselor Baumgartner? Counselor Baumgartner?
I said yes.
Thank you. Counselor Kassiri?
Yes.
Counselor Franco?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Parker?
Yes.
Counselor Westervelt?
Yes.
Melendez is a yes. That carries 8 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstaining. On to Fleet, account 6040 on page 121.
I'll move $1,313,690.
Second, Jones.
Moved by Kassiri, seconded by Jones.
Okay. This budget represents about an 18.3% increase from last year, which is roughly around $200,000. Fuel costs are up $128,000. We're roughly going to be, we've budgeted for about a little over $1 a gallon more for diesel and gasoline for the town. Parts costs, there's a slight increase there for inflation. And then for the vehicle that we're looking to replace, we're up about $72,000 from last year. This year we have 8 vehicles we're looking at. We have 4 police patrol cars. We haven't funded or replaced any patrol cars in the last 2 years. We are getting some that are, 2014, 2015, 2016, that are in excess of 100,000 miles. These cars really need to be replaced. And, we estimate, they're about $50,000 a piece with all the cages, radios, lights, paint jobs and everything. So it's about $200,000 just for the 4 police cars, but those are probably the most important ones of all the vehicles we're asking for. The 5th one is a van for the senior center. This is about $60,000, but this one is actually being, we've got a federal grant for this, so that's just, it's a reimbursement grant, which will pay for it.
Is that
Pay for that.
80%?
80%, yeah.
But we have to pay up front and budget in there.
The next vehicle is a 1987 tri-axle, which is a large dump truck at Public Works. This one, it's getting on 30 years old. More than that, actually. It's got 165,000 miles. This is the last one with a standard transmission, and I only have, I think, 2 drivers, maybe 3 that are qualified to drive this thing, because the guys now all have just CDLs with automatic transmission approvals, so they couldn't even drive this. So in a couple of years, probably nobody will be able to drive this thing anyway. But this thing, it is in rough shape. It does need to be replaced. It's expensive at $190,000, but it does need to be replaced. I also have a parks maintenance dump truck for $35,000 and a parks maintenance riding mower for $20,000. And all those 8 vehicles total up to $505,000.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, I have to rescind my motion because I read the wrong number.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I just read up here and not the financing plan.
No.
It's correct.
Oh, I
That's
record.
correct.
Oh, it was right? Okay.
We're reading the top number?
And not the financing plan? Okay, never
Yeah,
mind.
That's what I heard you said too.
All right,
Thank you.
Never mind. Sorry.
Okay. Any questions? Counselor Parker?
Just one, was it 2, okay, I'm looking on page 125. Is it 2 Parks and Rec vehicles? Are you looking at the bottom number and then the one on top for, it's the John Deere, correct, 1987?
No, it's all the vehicles way down at the bottom.
Yeah, that's only 7, 1, 2, in the little square box for,
Looks like on the 190, did you mean for that to be, you put police admin, is that the dump truck?
the dump truck's down the bottom. You're talking about the one at the top? That's 168,
No, that's an excavator up at the top.
okay. So which one was that? Is the one that's 2006?
Yeah, it shows, yeah, the chart, the one that says 190 police admin, that should be the Public Works dump truck.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Counselor Baumgartner?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm reading the background on this. Not included was the information on the Public Works replacement vehicles. What are the vehicles again for Public Works?
The only one for Public Works is we're
I'm sorry,
replacing,
Parks and Recreation.
oh, Parks and Recreation, okay, is a Mason dump, the 1997 GMC. Just down at the bottom, and a Toro lawnmower, they're replacing that with a Z-mower. The 2004
And I guess
Toro.
what would the projected cost be for each of those vehicles?
The Mason dump is $35,000. We're going to just buy the chassis only and transfer the body over from the existing truck. And then
Yeah.
the Z-mower is $20,000.
20,000.
So it's 55
Okay,
total.
so that. All right, so in total, so for Parks and Rec, that would be 55,000 in total?
Correct.
And then so the other 450,000 is for police?
No, there's 200 for police,
Yeah,
4 vehicles. There's 60,000 for the senior center van, but that's a reimbursable grant. And then 190,000 for Public Works dump truck.
That was the one that was,
how much was for the Public Works dump truck?
190?
190?
that's the one you see mislabeled as police admin that Greg mentioned? That's why it looked like higher for the police.
And where would this be mislabeled?
If you look on page 125, it's like 8 up. If you, do you see that where it says 190,000 police admin? And then there's blank after it?
Yeah, actually, the next one up is actually the dump truck.
All right.
This chart is all messed up.
Okay, and then, my other, and then the police, you said 200,000, so that's 50,000 per patrol vehicle?
Correct.
And then on page 121, it says that the police have not received a new vehicle for 2 years.
That's correct.
And then, so was that the FY fiscal year 21? So fiscal year 21 budget, we didn't fund any vehicle replacements, correct?
Correct. And then last year we
I
did
mean,
not.
20.
I'm sorry, I heard somebody just now.
It's, Chief Fazaro, we haven't received any vehicles the last 2 budget years. I think 19 to 20 was the last year that we received any allocation for funding for replacement vehicles.
And so, and thank you, Chief, for the assist. The 4 patrol vehicles will replace, will they replace 4 vehicles, or that will be decommissioned?
That's correct.
Okay, and I'm sure many of them have already exceeded their shelf life.
Yeah, many of them, the Public Works has been great about repairing our vehicles. We've got a couple of them that are down right now that they're replacing a transmission in, and they've been doing a great job putting them together, but their useful life has been exceeded, is correct.
And then and last question, they will be SUVs?
They're all, probably, most likely will be a Ford Police Interceptor crossover, which is the variant that's most closely aligned with the Ford Explorer. Unless, right now, the problem is they're about almost a year out as far as order delivery time, so that's going to take quite a while to get them. They're kind of a hot commodity right now, unless we find another vendor, another manufacturer that has something similar that is a police package. We'll have to take what we can get or wait.
Thank you, Chief.
Counselor Jones?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Hanover, just nothing to do with the current vehicles that you're purchasing here, but have you been looking at all at electric vehicles, and are municipalities adding electric vehicles into their fleets?
We have one right now. It's still kind of, at that stage where it's, probably electric school buses would be great. I mean, but, the trucks and stuff with just the technology is just not quite there yet, I don't think so. But we, certainly will be in the near future looking at.
You have other vehicles like the ones that that Parks and Rec uses to drive around, or maybe the school buses or delivery. So, as fuel costs go up, that might be a good place to start to look.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Keep in mind, we probably wouldn't be able to do as many repairs in-house, would we, as they start to get older? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, it's certainly more specialized in repairs and stuff,
So there might be a bit of a, obviously it's great, preferable to go to those, though.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily advocating for them. I kind of like the hybrid model, so you have both, but I'm just, the world seems to be going in that direction, so I just wondered if
we do have quite a
yours.
few hybrid vehicles.
Okay.
I just wanted to let you know, I'll send out replacement pages for that 125. There is a problem at the bottom of that chart. I think a line got inserted or something, but I'll send you revised pages tomorrow, or that one page.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call for a vote on account 6040, the amount of $1,313,690. Counselor Bordelon?
I'm going to abstain.
Counselor Baumgartner?
Yes.
Counselor Kassiri?
Yes.
Counselor Franco?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Parker?
Yes.
Counselor Westervelt?
Yes.
Melendez is a yes. That carries 7 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstaining. Bordelon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, on to contributions to other funds. Count 1073. Count 1073 on page 163. I'll make a motion for $1,685,936.
Second, Parker.
Do them separate. Oh, we've got to do them separately. I didn't realize that.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Motion rescinded. So just do the 107305. Is that what you're saying?
Wait a minute.
Yeah. So for the 107305, rec and senior, you do 267.55.
Okay.
Oh, each line.
So I make a motion for cost center 107305.
Second, Jones?
He's got it.
$260,755. Moved by Melendez, seconded by Jones. All right. Manager Burt? Do you want to speak to it?
These just, by the way, on the third one, or fourth one, I need to make a change, but these, for the most part, that matches what we'd already planned, what had already been passed by the council earlier. So each of these are just now filling in the gap of where the money comes, for transferring those dollars. So to change these, you'd have to go back and change other budgets
Okay.
outside of the TIF.
All right. So seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. The amount of $260,755. Counselor Bordelon?
We're breaking them up, is that what was said? We're going to
Yes.
do them separate? And we're doing the 1075 first?
107305.
I'm sorry,
Rec and senior activity.
Sorry, I'm moving, my eyes moved down the page. So, I was just looking to see how we were I wasn't ready, then you moved it right to a vote, so I was not ready, but. So I'll just abstain since you're moving.
Okay. Counselor Baumgartner?
And I hate doing this, I just got really confused.
It
We're
does-
on 1073, correct?
Yes, and then we do it line by, if you look on page 164, under cost centers, you do each one individually. So the first one is.
No, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
That was clear to me.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay. Counselor Kasiri?
Yes.
Counselor Franco?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Parker?
Yes.
Counselor Westervelt?
Yes.
Melendez is a yes. That carries 7 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstaining. Bordelon?
For cost center 10731 revaluation fund, I'll move $150,000.
Second, Parker?
Moved by Kasiri, seconded by Parker.
Hey, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, so now we have moved, just two things. One, I'm going to pull a Counselor Parker. Folks, can you please bring your mics closer to you, because it is actually hard hearing you on from the Zoom. And if I'm having trouble, then all the folks who are watching from home on YouTube are as well. Secondly, before we were to move on, I was waiting for my moment intently before we moved on to the 1075 account that Councilor Bordelon had inquired about. I wanted to make a motion for reconsideration before we went to do that. So I apologize, but there's a little bit of a lag here, and I've been on point here, so I want to make sure I can make that motion before we complete the 1070, right after we completed the 1073 vote.
Okay.
We're still on 1070.
We're still in
He's saying, he's
1073.
saying after
Afterwards.
1073, but before 1075, he wants to make a motion to reconsider. Okay, thank you for that heads up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any discussion on 10731? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for a vote on $150,000. Counselor Bordelon?
Yes.
Counselor Baumgartner?
Yes.
Counselor Kasiri?
Yes.
Counselor Franco?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Parker?
Yes.
Counselor Westervelt?
Yes.
Melendez is a yes. That carries 8 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstaining.
For cost center 10733 computer replacement, I'll move $0.
Second, Parker?
Moved by Kasiri, seconded by Parker. Any questions, discussion? Okay, seeing none. I'll call for a vote on $0. Counselor Bordelon?
Yes.
Counselor Baumgartner?
Yes.
Counselor Kasiri?
Yes.
Counselor Franco?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Parker?
Yes.
Counselor Westervelt?
Yes.
Melendez is a yes. That carries 8 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstaining.
And for the next one, it should actually be 0, not 406. So if you could make the motion for 0.
Make a
It's an error.
motion for account number 10734 in the amount of $0.
Kasiri, second.
I'll second that.
Oh, first, okay, sorry, you got,
Sorry.
okay,
You have to do
406
406
first,
first.
turn it- and then amend it to 0.
I have to?
Yes.
I withdraw
Also rescind.
10734 in the amount of $406.
Kasiri, second.
Moved by Franco, seconded by Kasiri.
I make a motion for account number 10734 for 0.
Second by Franco.
Moved by Parker, seconded by Franco. $0. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. $0. Counselor Bordelon?
Yes.
Counselor Baumgartner?
Yes.
Counselor Kasiri?
Yes.
Counselor Franco?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Parker?
Yes.
Counselor Westervelt?
Yes.
Melendez is a yes. That carries 8 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstaining. Call Center 10736. I make a motion for $505,000.
Second, Parker?
Moved by Melendez, seconded by Parker. Any discussion, questions? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for a vote on $505,000. Counselor Bordelon?
No?
Counselor Baumgartner?
Yes.
Counselor Kasiri?
Yes.
Counselor Franco?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Parker?
Yes.
Counselor Westervelt?
Yes.
Melendez is a yes. That carries 7 in favor, 1 opposed, Bordelon, 0 abstaining. For call center 10737, I make a motion for $465,375.
Second, Jones?
Moved by Melendez, seconded by Jones. Discussion, questions? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote on $465,375. Counselor Bordelon?
Yes?
Counselor Baumgartner?
Yes.
Counselor Kasiri?
Yes.
Counselor Franco?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Parker?
Yes.
Counselor Westervelt?
Yes.
Melendez is a yes. That carries 8 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstaining.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Yes, before we move on, is this the appropriate time to do so now?
No.
We got one more call
Motion to
center.
reconsider.
Account number 10738, I'll move in the amount of $304,400.
Kasiri, second.
Moved by Franco, seconded by Kasiri. Questions, discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote on $304,400. Counselor Bordelon?
Yes.
Counselor Baumgartner?
Yes.
Counselor Kasiri?
Yes.
Counselor Franco?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Parker?
Yes.
Counselor Westervelt?
Yes.
And Melendez is a yes. That carries 8 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstaining. Now's your shot.
You can't hear you, sometimes you can't hear from online.
Counselor Baumgartner?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now, before we move on to the 1075 account, which is capital reserve contributions, and the capital reserve fund 5010 account, this account obviously funds the lion's share of our capital improvement programs. This year we utilized some ARPA to fund several CIPs. However, we typically we fund this account through capital reserve funds if we don't get any form of, LoCIP funds or kind of other funding sources that can supplement some of the costs for CIPs. But again, the bulk of it is funded by capital projects. So I would like to make a motion to reconsider for project culvert rehabilitation, and that's the activity drainage and watershed protection on 216.
Okay.
And
So that's CIP
it was a
2A.
yeah, so go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, let me just get my,
This is the one that failed.
that's CIP 2A. I just got to check the vote on it.
Yes. This was an item that
Wait, we gotta
was
sit- wait,
passed
wait.
unanimously.
There's no second.
Wait,
Okay. Yeah, so that was unanimously passed.
Passed with 800.
So you are on the prevailing side. And I need a second for your motion to reconsider.
I'll
CIP.
second.
Okay, so I have a motion to reconsider CIP 2A, page 216, by Baumgartner, seconded by Bordelon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, the reason I would like to reconsider this motion was the first, or I should say the amended motion, ultimately it did pass with the initial motion on the floor. It passed unanimously because I think people recognize the importance of funding on not just our bridges, but also our culverts, especially as a tool to mitigate flooding concerns. With that said, the amended motion passed in a very narrow vote, 4-4. The reason it did not vote, it passed, was because unfortunately, Councilor Bordelon did have to leave the meeting prematurely, and therefore she was not afforded the opportunity to vote on this item, the amended motion. And I fundamentally do believe that Councilor Bordelon should have that right to vote on something, whether she agrees with it or not. I certainly believe she does have that right. So with that considered, the reason I'm bringing this forward was because the amended motion would have included the design of the replacement of the old stone culvert on River Road. And as I said in the last meeting, this is an item that was to be funded in future budget cycles. However, town staff did indicate this was something that could be moved for this fiscal year. Given the concerns we have heard from the neighborhood, certainly folks who have lived on River Road, the calls to address flooding issues, it is absolutely imperative that we begin to tackle this now. Town staff also did indicate they have the bandwidth and the capacity to get this done. It is just incumbent on our council to put, our money where our mouth is, so to speak. So again, it was in a very close vote. I will not name the councilors who did support it. They certainly know who they are, and I appreciate them of their support. But I think this will send a strong signal that we are serious about climate adaptation, tackling flooding issues on River Road. And I respectfully ask the councilors, especially those who did support it, to do so again, and those maybe who didn't at the time reconsider. Thank you.
Councilor Parker?
Mr. Mayor and Mr. Burt, we already approved this at 800. So how can we reconsider the item?
What do you mean?
We approved, the original motion was for 1,482,000.
Yeah.
So we can't reconsider if we've already passed the number. Or why are we reconsidering it? The main motion on the floor would have been 1.4. He's reconsidering for 200,000, which was an amendment, which was failed, and we went back to the main motion. And 800. So how can we reconsider something when everybody passed it? There's
Yeah,
no
the motion
prevailing.
Someone on the winning side can reconsider.
Right. So anyone could reconsider this particular motion.
So
Point of information.
I think what you're saying is if he makes a motion for 1,682,000, then it would be a frivolous motion. Is that what you're saying?
because we already did that motion. It's a
Okay,
frivolous
so-
motion.
That would, I believe that's just
Correct?
a chair determination.
Direct-
If you reconsider, it opens it back up. So.
Right.
But
Right.
Point of information.
What's your point of information?
Isn't this the same as
Yeah.
we approved the town clerk's budget and then went back and looked at it again and gave a
Yeah.
raise? Wouldn't that be the same?
No,
type
we
of
can
thing?
definitely reconsider. It's just I think she's saying 1,682,000, which has not been made yet, is what is anticipated for the motion to be made, and it has already failed. But I believe that's just a chair call. Is that what you're saying?
I believe you can reconsider it, but you can't reconsider the motion that's already failed. It would have to be a
Would you have to
different.
do a double consideration? Like, how does that work?
I think if you wanted to reconsider it, you're going to have to put a different motion on the floor, not the
To recon-
1.6 that failed.
To reconsider the one that failed, you'd have to go to who was on the prevailing side.
Well, I think the motion to reconsider opens up the account. Then someone just makes a motion.
We've already voted on it. You can't vote on it again, the same number.
Because that failed.
Because if you want
But that-
to, if you want to vote on the same number again, you have to reconsider that number. Is that correct?
Whoever was on the proposal side.
The motion that failed, the 4-4.
Yeah.
The 1.6.
Point of information.
What's your point of information?
If we were to make a motion to, so if the motion to reconsider was approved, then we would be back to square one. Would we then be banned from voting for the number we approved? That makes no sense.
You can't vote on the same number like that twice. You can't bring the same motion forward again.
But then we wouldn't even be able to approve the same number we approved, the initial motion.
So
we approved
let's
then.
just set a
We
baseline.
wouldn't be
So.
able to for that either.
Just one second. So I'm going to state my interpretation, and then I can get feedback for that. My interpretation is that Counselor Baumgartner can make a motion to reconsider CIP 6A because he was in the prevailing side. It was a unanimous vote. So he can. That is in order. If he gets a second and that's approved, the account is open. Someone can make a motion for whatever they want. The only question is whether the motion can be made for $1,682,000. But I believe my interpretation is that he can't do that. And get a second, because the only thing stopping him would be a frivolous motion. But I personally don't believe it's frivolous because we have a ninth counselor here when before we had 8.
We only have 8 right now.
We only have 8 right now.
Yes, but the person missing is different.
Now somebody else is missing.
I understand. That is my interpretation, is that that is what it is. So I'd like some feedback for sure.
We have to get 6 votes to have a reconsideration, right?
Correct.
Yeah, 6 to reconsider. Okay, so first and foremost, is there a second to reconsider?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Is there a second for the motion to reconsider? CIP 6A.
I'm in support of reconsidering the motion.
Or 2A.
I'm always open for discussion. so.
Okay. So I have a motion to reconsider CIP 2A by Counselor Baumgartner, seconded by Bordelon. Needs 2/3 of 8.
5.
5.
Is it the council?
No, it's the count.
We need
It's the
6.
council?
We need 6.
We need 6.
You still need 6. So you need 6 of 8. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll call for a vote on reconsidering CIP 2A. Counselor Bordelon?
Yes?
Counselor Baumgartner?
Yes.
Counselor Kasiri?
No.
Counselor Franco?
No.
Counselor Jones?
No.
Counselor McBride is not here. Counselor Parker?
No.
Counselor Westervelt?
Yes.
Okay, Melendez will be yes, so that fails. 4 in favor. Melendez, Bordelon, Baumgartner, Westervelt, 4 opposed. Kasiri, Franco, Jones, Parker, 0 abstaining. All right. On to capital reserves and contributions, page 192. Is this the correct number?
Yeah, I don't have the updated numbers. First, though, They would do what's in the book correct, and then they'll amend with the new number, or not? If you change the rules, I'll find it. You just want to give them the number?
The number, we're at 1075. The number for account 1075 is $3,297,000.
I make a motion for account 1075 in the amount of $3,297,000.
Kasiri, second.
Moved by Melendez, seconded by Kasiri. Any discussion, questions?
Just,
Counselor Jones?
Christian, I'm just, on page 193, I don't understand why the manager number is 7.6 million.
That was before you changed some of the funding source to ARPA dollars.
Okay, so that's where it got balanced
Yeah,
out?
mhm.
Okay, okay. All right, thank you.
Counselor Bordelon?
I just want, just point information, the number on the floor again?
$3,297,000. Counselor Baumgartner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Manager Burt, what is the remaining balance of unexpended ARPA funds, just so the public is aware?
I don't have that on me. I could, give me a minute, I might be able to find it.
And then maybe,
4.2-ish, 4.
I think
thought it was around
that would be
4-ish.
thinking of that,
Right, I know it was around 4, but you think it's as high as 4.2? Somewhere between 4 and 4.2.
you can provide that final number tomorrow at our regular
Tomorrow's-
CAL meeting. I'm sorry, we don't have a CAL meeting tomorrow.
Correct.
At our next CAL meeting, on the 26th. And then the other thing is, how much ARPA in total did we utilize for CIPs this fiscal year? Or for this proposed budget?
do you want me to give that, John?
Yeah, go ahead.
$3,880,000.
Thank you, Cindy.
You're welcome.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for a vote on $3,297,000. Counselor Bordelon?
No?
Counselor Baumgartner?
Yes.
Counselor Kasiri?
Yes.
Counselor Franco?
Yes?
Counselor Jones?
Yes?
Counselor Parker?
Yes.
Counselor Westervelt?
Yes.
Melendez is a yes, so that carries 7 in favor, 1 opposed, Bordelon, 0 abstaining.
Mayor, I do have that number now, if you want it. Counselor Baumgartner, the total funds unallocated at this moment is $4,315,654. Now, that would also depend on what you end up doing with the seawall, or what happens with that.
Thank you. On to Capital Reserve Fund, 5010, page 195. I make a motion for $10,136,000. Oh. We need a number.
The number for 5010 is $5,797,000.
Thank you.
Could you repeat that? Could you repeat that?
I make a motion for $5,797,000.
Second, Parker?
Moved by Melendez, seconded by Parker. Okay, seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Counselor Bordelon?
I'm going to abstain.
Counselor Baumgartner?
Yes.
Counselor Kasiri?
Yes.
Counselor Franco?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Parker?
Yes.
Counselor Westervelt?
Yes.
Melendez is a yes. That carries 7 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstaining. Bordelon. All right. So I believe we're at the end of this.
That is it?
Okay. So I can entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Okay. Moved by Parker,
Second.
seconded by Franco. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? That carries 8 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstaining. We are adjourned at 7:57.